Hi, everybody, and welcome to Pinstripe People, a Yankees podcast sponsored by FanDuel on the Believe Network. I'm Sal Majorana. That is Mike Lindsley on the other side of the glass there, if you will. Mike, seems like we say the same shit every show about the Yankees, um, but at least they had been winning series despite all their incompetence on offense. Wasn't the case this weekend in Toronto, their house of horrors, as always. They lost the first two games and were incredibly fortunate to salvage the last one and avoid the sweep. So, look, Mike, we've been having the same show for 3 or 4 weeks now. I'm not sure. I've run out of words to describe how bad this offense is. Maybe you have a new word you can throw in here about how bad they are.
It kind of just you get, it's a matter of when you're going to get the feeling, right? It's like, am I going to get the feeling in the second inning or in the fourth or in the fifth? They get one run and you're like, boy, I hope that one holds up, and then later in the game, Toronto will tie it, get a run. You're like, oh boy, you know how this is going to go. And then they get a lead and you're like, you better not give that up, because if you get to fake baseball, we know how, right? And so it's like, it's just a matter of when you're going to get the feeling, I guess, at this particular point. But Sunday, I mean, look, Ben Rice, and they saved one there, and that was a big day because we're in dog days, mid to late August. The Rays go down. They look, hey, we just gave them World Series contender flowers last week, and they look brutal over the weekend against Baltimore. The Red Sox got pummeled to a degree by Pirate Bats. And, that Sunday could have been just a complete wash, complete sweep, complete this and that and the other thing. They get a game and then the other two lose. So you're kind of like, I'm not saying that anything turned. I'm not saying that a new sun rose, but at least they got that one, I guess. And we're kind of at that point. For me, it's just the feeling. It's just when that feeling's going to hit it's a matter of, when, not if.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they've turned any corner either because Ben Rice happened to hit a 2-run homer in the 10th inning.
Right.
It's still horrible all weekend, and it was a shame because they could have created some separation. The Red Sox losing 2 of 3 in Pittsburgh. They did stay even, so they're 3 games up because remember they did gain a game last week, midweek, when Boston went through some struggles. So it's a 3-game lead against them. But as you mentioned, Tampa Bay. Now, I said this on the last show. The division's over for me. The Yankees are not going to catch them, but there was a sniff this weekend of possibility. They lose 3 to the Orioles. If the Yankees had taken care of business, now we're having a different conversation. They would have been, they're 5.5 now. They could have gotten to 3.5 if they had taken care of business. So that was a little frustrating. But again, I've lowered my expectation, Mike, for this team as far as the division. I'm not even really concerned with it anymore. The concern is to stay ahead of the Red Sox. If they're gonna play that wild card series against Boston, which it certainly looks like it's going to be, because those two teams have clearly separated from that bottom wild card spot, that series has got to be in New York. Or as we said last week, this is going to be a short October for them.
Yeah, I didn't really react too much the last couple times you've said stuff about the division, but I don't necessarily think that it's that. I don't think it's out yet. I know what it says. I know it says 6 or 5.5 games. Quick math on the Yankees, you go 60 and 50, 110, 110, 119, 124. And you've got 38 games left to play this season. Is that right? I just did that quickly, about 38.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's 6 in the loss column right now, and it's going to be 7 because unless they sweep Tampa at the end of September, they're going to lose the season series. So you can't finish tied with them. So it looks like it's 5.5 right now, but in all reality, they're 7 games behind the Rays. That's why I just don't think they're going to be able to do it.
I lean toward your way. I just don't think it's all the way completely closed yet, only because I think the Rays are a really good team now. I do. I think before we were kind of like, there's no great team in the AL. Well, you have to kind of climb up to get there, because obviously if you end up being in the World Series, even the Yankees a few years ago, we talked about getting that easy way through the AL Central and all that, but they still got there. So there's that half of it. The other half was, it was a little bit easier than some other years, of course. But You still have to get through somebody, and at least they were good teams. Now, when the Yankees got to the World Series that year, were they a great team? I mean, maybe by default, but usually at the end, Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Finals, whatever the case may be, you get down to the Final Four, Final Two, certainly Final One, you get to the point where you are a great team. I still don't think the Rays are a great team, but if they keep winning and playing the way they have the last month into Labor Day and then beyond, and then obviously win the pennant, I think they probably would be. I'm not there yet, though. I think they're a really good team. I think they're better than everybody else in the AL. I think they're better than the Yankees. But 1978 happened, and I know that years are different. I know this isn't the same. I know there's been different comebacks at different times in baseball. As long as a door is open and a team isn't quite yet slam it on you on 98 Yankee territory, it's a little bit open, but I do lean your way. I do. I just don't think that the gift has been completely wrapped yet on the Tampa side.
I mean, the only way I would even conceive of a possibility that they could catch them is because their pitching has been so good, Mike. The Yankees pitching, I mean, if they had just a semblance of an offense, they would be right in the thick of it with the Rays. Their pitching keeps them in I can't even remember the last game where their pitching sucked and they had no chance to win. Every game they give them a chance and the offense just pisses away these games. We thought maybe, I didn't think it, but some fans probably thought they had turned the corner last Wednesday. 10 runs, 13 hits against the shitty Mariners. Well, in their next 4 games, 0-1-1, and then the big eruption yesterday where they scored 4, and it took them 10 innings to get to 4. Yeah. So this offense, maybe there's at some point, we had the course correction with the Red Sox, right? We knew after all that hot streak, they'd start losing. Well, is it possible that the Yankees bats will have a course correction and wake up, especially if, and I say if, because I don't know when these guys are coming back, if the 3 studs come back, I guess it's possible. But Mike, we have such a long sample size of incompetence with this team this year. I just don't see a button being pushed or a switch being flipped. I'm trying to get my words here. I don't see that happening with this team. There's just too many bad at-bats game after game. I can't see it happening.
Yeah, yesterday they showed the graphic before the Yankee game started, and it was just Michael Kay and David Cohn in the booth. God forbid we can do that in baseball now. Have a play-by-play guy and have a color guy. And stop all the storytelling and stop the BS and the talks. And it was I was like, oh my goodness. I got some pool time yesterday. My son took a nap, so I did a bunch of laps, sat outside, and I flipped between, some of the different games and whatnot, obviously hyper focused on the Yankees because I knew we had the show today. But what a beautiful thing, a play-by-play guy and a color guy, God forbid. And they showed the graphic, and it was sub-2 batting average, all the piss-poor runs. And David Cohn goes, hey, I hate to bring this up, but they actually went 7-8 during that last 15. Why? They're pitching. I mean, they somehow could win some of those games 2-1 because they've given themselves a shot with the arms. It's amazing because in baseball, you hear all the time, well, he gives us a chance to win every game. Guess what? All of these guys are doing that every single 5th day, even Weathers and all the rest. And I know I'll give you you can just rip through all 3 together if you want when I turn it back to you. But that graphic and all that and those numbers, it was wow. I mean, the offense, it's of epic proportion. One of the worst offenses in baseball the last 3 months. Horrible.
After Saturday's game, Katie Sharp, who does a great job with all the stats she comes up with, she put this one out, Mike. It says it all. Because Cam Schlittler pitched, I mean, it wasn't great Saturday, but he pitched well enough to win the game if he had run support.
Right.
That was the 14th loss that they've had this year where their starter went at least 5 innings and allowed 1 or 0 runs.
I know.
I mean, can you imagine? They've lost 14 games like that. Now, incredibly, there are 2 teams that have lost more, the Mets and the Royals, who happen to be 2 of the worst teams in baseball this year. So that was incredible. And then the other one that came out this is before Sunday, 27 games since the All-Star break, the Yankees scored 1 or 0 runs 8 times, 2 or fewer runs 15, and 3 or fewer runs 19 times. So basically the stat is 19 out of 27 games they've scored 3 or less. It's tough to win baseball games when you can't score. Even as good as the Yankees pitching has been, it makes it really difficult. And as you said, somehow they have been able to win some of these games. They're about a 500 team in those situations, which is nuts. But God almighty, just hit the goddamn ball. Hit the ball and score some runs. And we'd have a much different conversation when we do these shows. And I wouldn't be so agitated and irritated if they just scored a little bit.
The thing is, too, is they have so many bad at bats. I mean, if you could just get a little deeper and one better swing, one more, one of something. And Cone made a point yesterday, too, where this offense is so brutal, and I'm paraphrasing, but after the screenshot was up, he said something like, you're just looking for that little thing, and the Yankees got that on Sunday, right? I mean, that's kind of how they got started. But I tell you what, man, it's brutal. I mean, I know the old adage is, defense wins championships, well, defense and pitching can do some things too, but yeah, at the end of the day, your run column, your score, your points in every sport, your goal column, whatever sport you're playing, you eventually do have to have more than the other team and get those holds. Boy, the Yankees, the at-bats, the runs, they are hard to come by, man.
It really is. Well, we can start with Sunday's game because it's fresh in our minds. Look, it's so crazy when you think about what happened in this series. They lose the bullpen game that Toronto threw on Saturday, and they somehow win the game that Dylan Cease pitched on Sunday. So that right there, that's baseball right there, Susan, right? That's the ultimate, that's baseball, Susan. And it wasn't like they did much damage against Dylan Cease. He pretty much dominated them.
Yep.
But they did get the 2 runs. I like the decision, Mike. It was interesting too. Cease is a right-hander, and Boone decided to sit Chisholm, even though he's a lefty swinger, and he used Caballero at second base. Yep. I was semi-surprised that happened, but I'm glad because Jazz deserves to be on the bench. And wouldn't you know it, Caballero was the catalyst for the first 2 runs they scored. The first run, it was all him. He drew a walk, he moved up a base, then he stole third, and he scored on a sac fly. Look at that. That was a Toronto Blue Jays special run right there, and Caballero created it. And then in the 7th inning, when they took the lead, I think it was the 7th inning, he had the RBI single that drove in the go-ahead run. Now, he made a stupid decision on the bases, which is what he does. I don't know what he was trying to do there, Mike. Chisholm is going from second to third. And why? And the throw comes home, they cut it. Why is Caballero? Why is he taking that big wide turn and trying to get in a rundown so Jazz can score?
Because the Yankees, they do this once a game.
Just watch the ball come in. It's probably going to be cut. Lombard's running. They're not going to get him at the plate. So, of course, they're going to cut this ball. And he gets caught up. So then he does the right thing and tries to get in a rundown. Meanwhile, Chisholm is jogging, right? So by the time he scores, there's no way the run's going to count. They did go to replay. Originally, they thought they missed the tag on Caballero. Of course, the Blue Jays challenged, and they tagged him out way before Chisholm scored. But that pissed me off. There's an opportunity. It would have been first and third. Right? It would have been first and third if he doesn't make that stupid out on the bases. But I digress. He was instrumental in the 2 runs they scored against Cease. So that was a good positive thing.
No doubt. But they do this every game. I mean, they're running, looking at the ball, the fundamentals not there. I mean, this is part of the baseball that we watch today. I mean, it's all over the league. There's errors all over the place. There's fielding mishaps. There's guys who can't cut off angles. There's no fundamentals. They don't do long toss. I mean, there's no coaching. And when you do that thing, you waltz into the dugout. The manager says nothing to you. You sit down. You go back out and play the field. And there's no in your face. There's no Billy Martin. There's no Earl Weaver. There's no like accountability. There's, because you can't like find a balance in the game today either, right? Like you can't be one of those guys. I mean, hell, you can't even be a Bruce Bochy. Forget about Billy Martin or Earl Weaver. You can't even be a Bruce Bochy. You can't even be a Joe Torre. Right? You can't even find a balance. You can't find the middle ground because you can't yell at a player. You can't get on somebody because it's the whole, everybody's got to be the cool uncle analytics. It's okay. We don't do fundamentals. So just have fun. I mean, how many times do you see guys during games, like they laugh, you forget that. I mean, look at the Phillies series it was, what series was it with the Yankees? Well, it was back to back where managers look out and they forget a count and the manager's just kind of giggling. I mean,
Yeah.
when did this stuff become funny that you don't know the count or you don't know how many outs there are? So I'm over it. Baseball's fundamentals and the up here stuff is gone, and it's ridiculous. And the Yankees are great at it. They're the dumbest team they're one of the dumbest teams in baseball.
Yeah, it seems like that, doesn't it? Ryan Weathers, man, he was great. I mean, this kid, this has been a big surprise. I did not expect him to be as good as he's been. His last 5 starts have been as good as anybody's 5 starts in the last whatever, month or whatever it's been.
Agreed.
He deserved better, just like every other Yankees pitcher deserves better. Their bullpen was a little bit taxed, and they needed him to go deep. And because Bednar hadn't pitched in 4 days, it was pretty clear they wanted to go Weathers for as long as possible and have Bednar just finish the game. It went perfectly to script. Weathers was tremendous. He only gave up the 1 run. And then that 9th inning, Mike, oh my God, I thought I was going to kill myself when I watched what happened there. Easy ground ball on the first batter, right to Ben Rice. He makes the error. And Mike, you're watching that, and don't you just know that the Yankees are going to give up the run now, at least 1 to tie it, and then they're probably going to lose, right? I mean, that was the feeling you had to have when that happened, correct?
I thought it was over, and that was the moment that I told you the last show where, for whatever circumstance, watch this, watch that. They'll be up 2-1. Something will happen, a big bomb. It ended up Vlad Guerrero earlier in the series got bonked in the head, and he was out and all the rest for the remainder. But, we talked about this. Whatever the reason is up in Toronto, if you have a 1-run lead, 7, 8, 9, and I'm paraphrasing my own comment, you just feel like something's going to come undone. And right when that happened, I said, that's probably it.
Yeah, they're just Toronto. They're so goddamn annoying. Anyway, then he walks Kirk, which is probably a good thing because that guy is literally the face of evil.
Another
right?
Yankee
killer. Oh my God, he might be at the top of the list right now. That guy. The guy is shaped like a wrecking ball, right? Mm-hmm. And he is a wrecking ball. He literally is a wrecking ball when he faces the Yankees. Now they got first and second. Bednar gets the pop-up. Springer, another all-time Yankee killer. They get the pop-up. Nobody advances. I'm like, okay, now he's 1 ground ball away. Then what happens? Ali Sanchez, who has no business being on this team, absolutely pathetic player. Yeah, Bednar doesn't throw a good pitch. It's out of the strike zone. It's low. He spikes it. You have to block the ball. You have to block that. Of course he does it. Now it's 2nd and 3rd, and it's probably game over. I was stunned they only got the 1, right? Ernie Clement, our guy from Rochester, you knew he was going to get the 1 run in, however it was going to happen. And then luckily Bednar got Okamoto and got the game to extra innings. But of course, Mike, then it's extra innings on the road. So do we really feel good about that, right? I mean, going into the 10th inning, you're thinking, well, they're not going to win, right? That had to be your feeling.
Yeah, fake baseball too. So 2 for 1 for me. And yes, anytime the Yankees get into that situation, you don't feel good. And they're on the road, it's close to turning it off time.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the 10th inning. First guy up is Caballero. Boone has him bunt the guy to third base. Mike, I just want to scream. I want to scream when they're stupid. You don't play for 1 run in the top of an inning. You have to get multiple runs.
Right.
Bunting him to third and then getting a sac fly and getting him in. Big deal. Now Toronto's got a guy at second base to start the bottom half of the inning, and they're just going to tie the game, which, by the way, they did score the run. Right. Why he has him bunting is just beyond stupidity to me. Yeah, he got him over. Big deal. Luckily, Ben Rice makes up for the egregious error. I mean, man, if a guy ever owed his teammates, it was Ben Rice in the 10th inning, who, by the way, has been utterly horrible. 4 for 48 going into that at bat. And he hits the big two-run homer. So they got the 2 runs they needed. And luckily they survived the bottom half with Tim Hill. Like, Jesus. We had to survive Tim Hill in the 10th inning, but credit to him. He got the job done. It was a bloop. It was a ridiculous bloop single that scored the run for them. He gets the job done and they win the game. But Mike, man, they tried so hard to lose this game. They really did.
Yeah, they did. But you know what? Like, I know the slump happened with Ben Rice. Guys go through slumps. There are guys who failed. This is a game of failure. Guys are in the Hall of Fame after technically failing their whole career. And are they really failures? Of course not. Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams, right? They're not failures, but based on numbers and how they did, right? It's a game of failure. So you're going to go through all these big slumps, and Ben Rice is still technically a young player. But I have to admit, I mean, when Ben Rice has been on those heaters this year, that was a Ben Rice moment, and he delivered again.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the thing is, with the expectation has risen so highly for Rice. So him going through this slump right now, it feels like a gut punch because he's the guy they need to be carrying them. There's nobody else, right? No. And if he's in the slump that he's in, this is part of the problem that they've had.
Bingo.
All right, let's just recap the first 2 games, which were just utterly miserable. 1 run in each game combined. I mean, this was so bad, Mike. They only had 6 runners in scoring position in the 2 games combined. And of course, only had the 1 hit. That's how bad these 2 games were. And again, starting pitching, just so good and such a waste. Garrett Cole was 6 innings. He gave up 1 earned run in the game on Friday. Deserved so much better. Meanwhile, the Yankees can't do a thing with Shane Bieber, Shane Bieber was a great pitcher. When he pitched for Cleveland, I think he won a Cy Young. Great pitcher. He is, I wouldn't say he's washed yet, but he is still recovering sort of from his Tommy John from a couple of years ago. He's not the same pitcher. He had an over 5 ERA. They do nothing against Shane Bieber and lose a game that just was disgusting from start to finish.
Yeah,
Thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I don't have a lot on these 2 games other than what was it? 2. I'm just checking some stuff. 2 runs and 9 hits combined in those 2 games.
That's what it was.
Also, you had just those bad at bats I alluded to earlier. My synopsis is just swinging over, swinging under. When they get into 1-2 counts, 0-2 counts, you're like, they're dead. And you just can't feel good about any. I mean, they can't even get to like these 2-2, 3-2s to just kind of maybe get into those positions I've alluded to before. Oh, they foul off a ball. You're like, oh, he was close. So you can just build on the at bat somehow. I just those 2 games were the Yankee offense to a T. I mean, those were the prototypical examples right there for New York. I was just clicking on the 4-1 loss here for a second. And the runners in scoring position 1 for 3, and you're like, oh, that was pretty good. Oh, wait a minute. It's because they didn't have base runners.
Because there were only 3 guys.
So it's like one or the other here, right? So I don't really have a ton on those 2 games other than wait for it. Great pitching, bad hitting, more of the same. But again, the swing over, swing under thing, and kind of you're out of at-bats until you give yourself a chance, right? And that's what happened in those 2, Brutal.
Friday, the only run he scored, Grisham hits a home run. Grisham has been really good lately. He's gotten on a heater after he was in a miserable slump like everybody. He's been pretty good. This is unbelievable, Mike. Since I think it was last Sunday, the Yankees had hit only 4 home runs. The alleged Bronx Bombers had only hit 4 home runs before Rice hit his on Sunday. So basically a week's worth of games. All 4 homers were hit by Grisham. Not a single guy on the team outside of Grisham had hit a home run until Ben Rice hit his on Sunday. That is a staggering incompetence. These are the New York Yankees who are supposed to be the Bronx Bombers. Trent Grisham is the only guy who had homered in an entire week. And that was, and he got one on Friday.
Like, I understand the injury thing. I do, but it's like, it's the Yankees, the payroll, like with roster construction and all that. I mean, there's 2 other guys usually on all these other teams. I mean, if I'm watching, like if you took PCA out, I understand that there's like protection that's gone for other guys. And that has a lot to do with what's going on with the Yankees too. I get that. When you take a Judge out, you take a Bell. I can't say Bellinger. You have to say Belly because everybody's got an LY at the end for Aaron Boone. But you get my point. You take some guys out, it hurts the protection of other players. I get that. But man, it's like the Dodgers will have like Pajes and somebody else homer one night when Shohei doesn't.
It's always somebody.
Sure. The Cubs will go. I love Seiya Suzuki, by the way. Oh my goodness. He's got some power. I mean, the Braves guys, good grief. If it's not Acuna and Olsen, it's Albies or whatever. Like they have no pop as well. And all those times when you complain, right, you want everything, right, as a fan. But when they have the pop, you're like, oh man, I wish they could manufacture runs. When they're hitting 6,000 home runs, it's back to, oh, well, I wish that. Well, now you're at, well, I wish they had the pop. No, you know what it is right now? Forget the pop, forget the manufacturing. Score. That's it. Yeah. I don't care how you do it.
It's crazy. So they get the lead in that game, and then that 6th inning, what a fiasco that was.
Oh,
Remember that?
geez.
You remember what happened that night? So Cole gives up 2 singles, and then Springer hits a ball to McMahon at third, right? I mean, it's a double play. He steps on third, and McMahon, for as good as his glove is, Mike,
Right.
that guy can't throw. He does not throw the ball well from third base. He throws a shitty ball over to Garcia, who, look, is a first-year first baseman. He's not a great fielder. He can't make the scoop. His glove goes flying off. Then for some reason, he gets the bright idea to throw back across the diamond because Guerrero is going to third. Nobody's covering. Lombard runs over like a receiver running a square in pattern. Ball goes into left field, and they score the tying run. That's how they score the tying run. And then, of course, the face of evil, Kirk, doubles in what became the winning run. Just crazy. It is crazy, the bad baseball that this team plays sometimes. And that was a classic example. I felt bad for Cole. I mean, Cole must have, his head must have wanted to explode as he's watching the ball flying all over the place on that one play. Just insane to me.
Volpe doesn't have a good enough arm to play shortstop. McMahon doesn't have a good enough arm to play third base. His glove is
How many times do you see McMahon bounce it over there? It's crazy. It is crazy. I mean, for a guy who's so good in the field, why can't he get the ball to first base? I don't know. I'd love to see the metrics. I probably should not be lazy and look it up to just see, he's throwing metrics. But all I know is I seem to think a lot of times Ben Rice, Paul Goldschmidt, and now Garcia are saving that guy from throwing errors. It's crazy. All right, real briefly on the Saturday game. Man, Mike, this game was so utterly disgusting. I didn't watch it because I was covering the Bills preseason game. I'm obviously following on my phone, and I made the conscious decision because I missed the whole game, the broadcast, to not watch the condensed game the next morning because I have to recap things for my newsletter. I'm like, no, the box score is going to tell me all I need to know about this game. What a travesty. Cam Schlittler, again, he wasn't great. A little bit of command. He had 3 walks, but he's still good enough, more than good enough to have won this game, and they just give him 0 support. Does anything stand out in this game to you that you want to talk about?
Not really, but I was going to say the 2 words Alex Bregman, because if you had gone after him in the offseason, you fill the hole of both glove and you fill the hole of arm, and you fill the hole of, look who's getting hot right now and has been hot with the bat, both power and with average. Just checks across the board for a team like the Yankees that needs all of those things I just mentioned. No, nothing. I mean, the first 2 games were just, like I said, the feeling. Here it comes. Errors, IQ, piss poor hitting, great pitching. Can you hold it down? Can you win 1-0, 2-1 in 2 or 3 of these games? They didn't. Then they pull out Sunday. That's why they lost the series. All those things wrapped in, right? I mean, it was a disaster. It was a disaster.
Yeah, it was. I mean, at least, Lombard had an RBI single. He delivered. Well, actually, Spencer Jones had a leadoff single.
That's true.
Stole second.
Yep.
Lombard drove him in. So I like seeing the young kids
keep
do
going.
something. Keep them going. So that was the run they scored.
Yes.
But then they pissed it away at the end. Of course, Kirk with the big single to tie the game. And then in the 8th inning, they have Tim Hill. I don't know, again, why Tim Hill is still on the team drives me nuts, but he gives up 2, ball game over. Varland comes in, closes it out like it was nothing in the 9th inning. I think the night before was the game where he threw 4 pitches, right?
Yeah.
And got 3 outs. Yeah. So
ping.
He had to work a little harder on Saturday. He threw 13 pitches. I just looked it up. But yeah, two easy saves for Louis Varland. Yankees lose. I was convinced they were going to get swept. So I guess we can wrap with, hey, at least they salvaged 1.
Yes.
And that was a good win to get against a division rival in a place that has just been so they had lost 15-21, Mike, before that game in Toronto. Just a horrible place for them.
Yeah, my 2 quickies to close. You're right. And the fact that the other 2 lost Sunday was, the big thing. You just move on. It's another week. Just get through another week of the season. And RIP Tommy John. We lost Tommy John over the weekend. He was always awesome with me. He was a guy I texted or called. I had him on a bunch of shows multiple times going back probably 30 years almost in my career. The Hall of Fame debate, that's what people say, right? I think he had 288 wins, 87 wins maybe. If he gets to 300, he said it for a long time. He was like, well, I'm in, right? So why is that the
Yeah.
benchmark, this and that? I think I deserve it. Longevity, durability. I lean on no for him for the Hall of Fame. I know the 300 mark was one of the old big standards, like 3,000 hits. You can't keep somebody like that out. But you look at the overall, it's more of a compilation than a domination. But he probably should be in there for the surgery, for the Tommy John. Him and Job and all that, they probably should put some kind of a wing, especially with guys going down all the time. But from a pure media standpoint, honest, opinionated, good guy, responded to you. He was a dream. He'll be missed. I always loved talking to Tommy John, man. I was sad to hear that.
Yeah, good Yankee. He was the enemy in the late 70s again when they played the Dodgers in the World Series, but he came over to the Yankees.
Yep.
Great second half of his career, and yeah, I'm a no on him for the Hall of Fame as well.
Right.
Look, we all know that wins was never a smart way to judge a pitcher. We've come to realize that in the last decade. But what a career! 26 years. That does deserve some type of recognition. And yes, that was a great career that he had.
Let me throw this in there real quick too. Like when you look at 26 or 27 years pitching, Nolan Ryan did too. Tommy John, right? Same kind of deal. But then you have the Tommy John more of compilation. Nolan Ryan domination, but he had a ton of the losses and he had a ton of walks and all that to go with the strikeouts and the wins and the no-hitters and all that. But look at Nolan Ryan and pitching not getting as much run support, especially in Houston. That's kind of where I line up. If people want to question, like, what about Tommy John? I put a Nolan Ryan next to him and I go, okay. And then you have all of those landmarks. And that's kind of the difference where the Hall of Fame argument for me kind of stops. I just want to add that in there.
Yeah, you're right. So Orioles, they have a day off on Monday. Yep. They go to Baltimore. Might be the wrong time to be playing the Orioles. They just swept the Rays in Tampa.
Here we go.
They're playing. You're right. The Yankees have seemed to have catching teams at the wrong time lately. I don't know. I think it's going to be a tough series. I'm looking through that lineup. I'm like, man, they just don't have anybody who really stands out.
Gunner's hot.
Gunner's gotten hot lately, but he's had a bad year.
I know.
Jackson Holiday has not lived up to number one overall pick. So I don't know what to make of the series, Mike, but I think it's going to be a little tricky for the Yankees because, again, they can't score, and Baltimore can score. So that's what's going on this week. All right, folks, we're going to be back probably, when is that? Probably Friday morning because they're playing a night game to close the series. So we will talk to you then. Until then, Mike, have a great week.
You too.
And all Yankee fans, I don't know what to tell you. Just come up with a new word to describe how bad they are on offense. Text it to me and I can use it in my newsletter, which, by the way, anybody who's listening should be subscribing to. If you're listening on the podcast side, in the show notes, click the link for Pinstripe People and sign up to be a subscriber. I would appreciate it. All right, Mike, have a good week. Talk to you later.